Hello, hello, hello. We are going to go over the planetary forecast for January 8th, 2021. And that's exciting. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Did you feel like an energy shift today? I definitely did. I definitely took a nap today, which is why I'm doing the planetary forecast so late with you guys. I slept till about 5, 6 o'clock, and I was like, "Oh shit, I have things to do." But once I started doing, what I was supposed to be doing, the whole process, I realized why I was so tired. So we definitely experienced a planetary shift today. Um, we had a couple planets shift into a new zodiac energy today, and we'll be going over to that. We also had a couple events today. We had a couple of we had the sun and the moon were in conjunction with a couple of constellations. So we're going to get started with the sun. The sunrise was at 7:21 a.m. and it will be set. It's set at 5:52 p.m. Sorry, set. It's 8:30. We started off the day at 18 degrees 15 altitude in Capricorn in the fifth house, and we'll be ending the day at 19 degrees 6 altitude in Capricorn in the fifth house. Hello. So what I do here is I do a planetary forecast. So I talk about where the planets were today, and I make different parallels so you can understand and you can make certain observations with your own natal chart. Now I do natal chart readings. If you go over to my website, letsnobodiescollection.com, you can purchase a natal chart reading service, and I'll send you a video going over each of your planets and pulling a tarot card for each planet. So I can, do a one-on-one service with you, but this is not that. So we're gonna get started with the sun. We started off as we're still in Capricorn in the fifth house energy. So your sun is your ego, your outward self, your masculine energy, how you interact with your own masculine energy, masculine figures and masculine energies in your life. And Capricorn is that energy of authority, of structure, of detachment, and pretty much like that RoboCop kind of energy of creating an alignment. And the fifth house is that Leo energy, right? It's directed towards your confidence, your children, how you interact with children, how you interact with the child in you and the child in others, how you your confidence and also your creativity and your romance. Okay. And and that's also an ego energy. So we have the Leo energy of the sun sitting in that fifth house Leo energy. So you got that double energy and it's rooted in that cardinal energy of taking initiative. So you feel your outward self, your ego being rooted in taking initiative now, right? A lot of us are creating organizations and taking initiative and building businesses and taking on new life ventures and healing and things of that nature. And that's where we are tapping into our ego. We're feeling good about ourselves when we complete tasks in those areas, and that's good. Make sure that there is a balance in that area, as what Capricorn is all about manifestation, and it's an earth sign, so it's definitely all about like those pinnacles and obtaining materials and things of that nature. So you definitely want to maintain a balance in your materialism and your consumerism during the season, which a lot of us don't have a tendency to do because we have two major holidays during Capricorn season. Well, we have a plethora of major holidays during that Capricorn season, and we utilize those holidays to engage in actually the opposite of what we're spiritually supposed to be engaged in. Actually, it's the time of fasting and abstaining from materialism and becoming in alignment and finding balance in that. And we choose to overindulge. So that's a fun fact, and hopefully we could break that cycle and do something different next year. Um, One of the happenings with the sun today at 3:20 p.m. it was in opposition of the constellation. The no, the star. It's a star, Wasat, Wasat. The star Wasat is a part of the Gemini constellation. And Wasat is a star. Well, first of all, the Gemini constellation is like the terrible twins. Like I think of the Tibble twins from Arthur, right? That's the epitome of the Gemini constellation. It's all about troublemaking and just violence and chaos and things of that nature. So the star Wasat is about chemicals, poison, gas, and violence. Wasat is actually Arabic for middle, and that's exactly where Wasat is located at the middle part of Gemini constellation. If you look at it in the picturesque away is actually the belt, where the belt of the Gemini twins um, mid area. So that happened today, earlier today. So, a lot of ambition was put towards, a violent matters. People, like a surge of anger, some level of aggression going in a cardinal sense, like taking initiative on certain things that make you angry or make you feel in opposition. And a lot of people have been doing that. They definitely been voicing, their anger in different situations. And around 3:20 p.m., it may have felt like 1,000. So moving on to the moon. The moon, we started off at 11 degrees, 21 altitude in Scorpio in the third house. And we are ending the day off at 25 degrees, 38 altitude in Scorpio in the fourth house. So we're moving from the third house to the fourth house today. That is the shift. Um, the moon today, the rise is at 2:19 a.m. and the set will be at 2:04 p.m. and we are in the waning crescent phase, moon phase. And so the moon is all about your intuition, your inner self, your emotions, and feminine energy, how you interact with your own feminine energy, the feminine energy of other people, feminine beings, and so on and so forth. And when it's sitting in that Scorpio energy and on an intuitive level, it may have been feeling like very intense emotionally, very intense sensually, just all the inward emotions that you usually feel on a normal day. They may have been intensified today with that moon in Scorpio. Now, the third house deals with your communications and your like intimate community and things of that nature. That's dealing with the sorry, somebody's sending me a message. But yeah, that's dealing with your interests and your habits. There also may be a career change. And the moon was in the Gemini energy. The third house deals with Gemini energy. So maybe like an intense push inwardly to change an interest or an intense intensity in engaging in a habit or engaging in an interest or a hobby or things of that nature or making a change in that. So that's definitely what the moon is calling a Scorpio in the third house and moving into the fourth house. Now we're moving into that Cancer energy, that energy of maternal energy. And that's cool because we have the moon, which is a feminine energy, and it'll be sitting in that, that's that sensual energy of Scorpio inside of another feminine energy of Cancer, the Cancer house. And Cancer is also ruled by the moon. So you kind of have like an amplification of emotions and amplification of wanting to be in a nurturing space and wanting to create nurturing spaces. So that's definitely like a vibe that you'll be going into tonight. I know tonight I will be going to the temple with my boys. Today is the solar return of the noble Jewel Ali. So we will be going to a potluck. And of course, the temple is considered as a nurturing environment. So making a parallel to that, being in spaces and places like that, you might find yourself, at a friend's house, a family member's house, or just alone in your own space. And that's always fun. And so the moon actually has been in conjunction with Zubin El Janubi, which at a 2.1 degree, and that was the happening that happened today as well. And so Zubin El Janubi is also a constellation, and that constellation brings off the energy of finding inner harmony and independence, and also peace in relationships. And this actually means claws of scorpion and air, and it's an Arabic word, Zubin al Janubi. And that is a part of, you know, constellation. So that's another happening. So with the moon being in conjunction and so close with that energy, that intensity again coming back to finding peace and harmony and going within. So you're really feeling like an over intensity about like switching some emotions, some things you've been feeling, some things you may have been suppressing and trying to, justify not addressing or dismissing. And that's what Scorpio moon is calling us to do and be, and so on and so forth. Moving on to Mercury. Mercury, we started off the day at 29 degrees, 27 altitude in Capricorn in the sixth house. And we've experienced a shift. So this is our second shift thus far in today. And then we've had two happenings today. So you'll start to realize, oh, okay, that's why I felt like an energy shift within myself, because as above, so is below. Ashe. So we've moved on from Capricorn in the sixth house, and we'll be ending off the evening at 1 degree, 5 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house. So we move from Capricorn to Aquarius energy. Mercury is all about logic, your intellect, how you communicate, how you teach, how you learn, how you absorb information and apply it, and so on and so forth. So with Mercury in that cardinal Capricorn energy, first of all, both of these energies bring on that Pentacles energy. So we're still tapping into that manifestation energy, right? We had Mercury so close to the sun, both of them sitting in that Capricorn zodiac energy, right? Well, the sixth house is the Virgo house, and that deals with health and wellness in your daily routine. So you may have found yourself the last few days with Mercury sitting in Capricorn, because Mercury has been in Capricorn for the past few weeks now, couple weeks. And so with that energy, you may have found yourself communicating about how you've been manifesting things, taking initiative in the manifestation of things and applying it to your health and your daily routine. A lot of us have been making health shifts, especially with the New Year's on the New Year's. Mercury was in Capricorn, and us innately we make New Year's resolutions. So a lot of you guys have been pushed towards making resolutions regarding your health and how you go about your daily routine, and maybe exercising on a more daily basis and bringing in new habits and so on and so forth. And that's what Mercury and Capricorn in the sixth house causes us to do. And so with them moving into Aquarius energy is like that rebellious energy. It also brings that social energy, like you wanting to go outward more, going out more. And a lot of us have been feeling that too, like, oh, I'm ready to go outside now. Like, I'm ready for this weather to break. I'm getting tired of the cold. If you guys are in seasonal areas like myself, I'm ready to go outside. I'm ready to be social. And a lot of us are coming together regardless of what the weather may bring. And that's still directed in that sixth house of Virgo energy of health, wellness, and daily routine. So we're applying this in our daily routine. You may have found yourself communicating more in social spaces instead of communicating by yourself so much, as the winter months call us to go inward more and go back into our homes more, right? So yeah. And Mercury also, with it moving into Aquarius, it'll start becoming more visible to the naked eye. So you might see like a little star out there dancing, and that'll be Mercury sitting up in that Aquarius energy. Moving on to Venus. Venus, we start off the day at 29 degrees, 23 altitude in Sagittarius in the fifth house. And we'll be ending off the day at 0 degrees, 38 altitude in Capricorn in the fifth house. So again, another planet. This is our third, planetary type energy shifting. We've experienced 3 shifts to that. Thus far, we're still doing the forecast. But Venus is all about your self-esteem, what you find pleasure in, what you're attracted to. Also, another Earth energy about chasing your pinnacles. Also about wealth and value of finances. And what is sitting in, that Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius energy is about optimism and foreign policy and changing philosophies and personal perspectives, right? So you may have found yourself changing your personal perspectives about how you obtain wealth, how you seek pleasure, what you seek pleasure in, right? What you consider as wealth. A lot of us are changing, as the dollar is doing what it's doing, and people are saying, we're running out of coins, or we're doing this, or we're going, paperless money and stuff like that. We are changing the way we see wealth. We are changing what we consider as wealth and what we consider valuable, right? And it's sitting in that fifth house energy, which is that Leo energy, that Leo energy of confidence and leadership, as well as creativity. So we're going about this in new ways, right? With that optimistic energy of Sagittarius and complementary with that Leo energy, 2 fire energies that Venus was sitting in. So you may have felt yourself super motivated, super, aggressively seeking change in those areas in your relationships and in your wealth and finances. And with it moving on into that Capricorn energy, now that you've had that motivation, now we're moving into that manifesting energy. Now it's being manifested. It's coming into fruition. It's becoming tangible, and it's here in front of your face now. So that's what the Capricorn fifth house calls, because it's still sitting in that fire Leo energy house, right? Yeah. So moving on to Mars. Mars, we started off the day at 0 degrees, 34 altitude and Taurus in the ninth house. And we'll be ending the day off at 1 degrees, 2 altitude and Taurus in the ninth house. Now with Mars, we experienced, not yesterday, day before yesterday. What was the day before yesterday? Was that like Wednesday? Yeah, I believe Wednesday was the day. Yeah, Wednesday was the day we experienced the shift with Mars, right? From Aries to Taurus. So now we're a couple days in on Taurus. Mars is pretty slow moving, so we'll be moving about a degree or 2 every 2 or 3 days, right? So Mars is that aggressive, your motivation energy. what gets you going, what gets you started, what are you aggressive about, what are you passionate about. It's like that red and black energy. What makes you see red, what makes you see black, like whether it be on a positive or negative field, right? So with that motivation, aggressive energy, and then that traditional energy of Taurus, we're seeing an aggressive sense, aggressive energy towards either uh, desiring, creating a tradition or a routine for ourselves, because that's what Taurus like. They like routines, right? So we find ourselves being wanting to have that, or wanting to, get rid of the routine and the traditions and things that we already had. And what is sitting in that ninth house energy of Sagittarius energy is still sitting in that fired up energy. So it's like a strong aggression. You have the fire energy of Mars sitting in that determined, reliable, but yet stubborn energy of Taurus with that fired up energy of the ninth house. That's calling you to change your philosophies and change, your foreign travel and your foreign exchange. A lot of us are doing it. I see a few people going to different countries to engage in business ventures and engage in communication and things like that. And that's fun. Yay for everyone being aligned with Mars. Jupiter. Jupiter will start off today at 4 degrees 25 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house, and will be ending off the day at 4 degrees 40 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house. So Jupiter is like the law, order, tradition, generosity, wisdom, love, like that blue energy of law enforcement, that soft energy of law enforcement. I always say like the good cop energy. And Aquarius energy, we know, is like that harsh wind, right? That hurricane wind. It's all about rebellious and being social. And it can be a little airheaded. It can be a little detached, right? Because it's not much you can grab onto with air. It's not much you can hold on to with air. So with this energy, you may find yourself feeling a little bit off put when it comes to your traditions and lacking in grounding in that. So you find yourself switching up your traditions on a more literal, like, literal sense down here on this plane, like, a changing up how authority is treated or seen or valued, changing the way, your alignment with traditions are, which how generous we are to each other, how we treat one another, and things like that. And we see that. We see people giving up old traditions. We see people being more generous and more humane towards one another, and sympathizing and empathizing with one another a lot better. And this is in our sixth house of that Virgo energy, that pinnacle manifestation, earth sign energy, practical, logical, Virgo energy. And it's all about your health and your daily routine. So a lot of us are applying this energy in our health and our daily routine, switching up our traditions, switching up, how we treat the alignment of authority. So Saturn, we start off at 2 degrees 27 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house, and we end off the day at 2 degrees 34 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house. Again, now Jupiter and Saturn are now in their normal 2 degrees apart from one another, still sitting in Aquarius in the sixth house, which we will be experiencing up until December of next year. But we still have some exciting happenings that occur, right? Some alignments that occur with these two planets, with other planets and other asteroids and constellations, and so on and so forth. So that's fun, especially as the sun enters into Aquarius. We'll be experiencing some amazing and pretty interesting things. There's some interesting things that are growing, and I'm very excited for when the sun enters Aquarius and there's an alignment with these two planets. And we'll get into that when the time comes. But right now we're going to talk about Saturn. And Saturn is more about that RoboCop energy. And I keep, drilling that guys in you guys' head so you can have a visual of how strong and how powerful this energy is. It's like Jupiter is the first runner up. That warning, that tap on that hand, that don't do that. And Saturn is like, oh, you didn't want to listen. I said don't do that. And so that's what the Saturn energy is. And it's sitting in that rebellious social energy of Aquarius, that energy of individuality and originality. So you find yourself wanting to create a more original ideal, a more original system, a law enforcement system, right? Shaking up challenges, shaking up fears, right? A lot of things we used to be afraid to do. That fear is being washed away, and that fear of a law and authority gets washed away. And that's what Saturn sitting in that Aquarius energy calls do. And again, in that sixth house of manifestation of that Virgo pinnacle energy, right? Of health and wellness in our daily routines. So we're applying this to our health, we're applying this to our wellness. And when I say health and wellness, I know a lot of you guys think about food and exercising and things like that, but there's a whole bunch of different levels to that. We're talking about financial, we're talking about economical, we're talking about if you're an employee, health and wellness in your job, environment, health and wellness in your home, health and wellness inside your mind, inside your heart, inside your body, health and wellness inside your relationships. And this is, health and wellness and as well as your daily routine and what that energy of Saturn brings of law and authority and structure and challenges and fears. So it's causing you to find help in those areas. And we're doing that. A lot of us are seeking healing. A lot of us are yearning for healing. And that's what these two planets are causing us to do. And we're starting to do it in a rebellious way. We're starting to do it in a social way as we're coming together. We spent a lot of time last year being alone and going inward and shedding the things and the people and the places and whatever that did us wrong. And now we're starting to align ourselves with our tribe. Is that not happening? You're starting to realize once you get into your natal chart that you're now starting to attract people that are in alignment with some of your planets. And you're starting to find use in that. And that's what these planets are causing us to do right now, right? So Uranus, we start off the day at 6 degrees 44 altitude and retrograde in Taurus in the ninth house, and we'll be ending off at 6 degrees 43 altitude and retrograde in Taurus in the ninth house. So Uranus is that energy about progressiveness and change, and what causes you to and pushes you to seek truth and seek a new truth in what it is that you're doing, right? And what it is in that Taurus energy, again, coming back to that Taurus energy of being, fixated on things and traditional and stubborn and slow to move and a little bullheaded, right? So the things that you have been stubborn about, how the things that you've been holding on to, and maybe you know inside, or maybe you don't know yet, and you're slowly coming to realization that those things are not good for you. Uranus is causing you to let those things go. It's getting to the point now where it's like, all right, you can't keep ignoring what it is that I'm showing. You have to like admit that you see the truth now. And and that's how a lot of us are coming to certain like conversations with the universe, like, why is it so hard for me to obtain this, or why is it so hard for me to maintain that? And so it is because Uranus is causing you to let go of those things and telling you that those things are not for you. And oh, carrot things, that's fun. Anybody? Um, that's interesting. I can't wait to try that. And that's what Uranus is causing us to do. And it's sitting in that ninth house energy, that Sagittarius energy, which gets us fired up and gets us motivated and optimistic, as well as changing new perspectives and changing your philosophies around. And so that's what we're doing. Uranus is pushing us to, stop holding on to and being stubborn about those social issues. I mean, not social issues, those things we've been holding on to about our philosophies and our personal beliefs and how we interact with other people and things like that. And that's cool. And so Uranus is also about six degrees apart from Mars. So again, you'll have that aggressive motivational energy to be progressive. As Mars gets closer to Uranus, that's sitting there eventually, we'll have Mars and you know super close to Uranus, and that's going to be exciting. What will be going on below with that as we tune into the news and people's energies and stuff like that. So Neptune, we start off the day at 18 degrees 37 altitude in Pisces in the seventh house. And we'll be ending off at 18 degrees 38 altitude in Pisces in the seventh house. And Neptune is all about that mystical energy, right? That subconscious energy going beyond the five senses. And it's sitting in that Pisces energy of being emotional and intuitive and going inward and things like that. But that Pisces energy can also be full of gullibility. Is that gullibility a word? It is today right now because that's what I needed to be. I needed to be a word. So be mindful of that because, like I said before, we really went into depth yesterday and earlier this week about how people are using spiritualism to market to you and to get you to do what they want you to do. So with this, Pisces energy, this Neptune energy sitting in Pisces, it is a lot of mystical, ruses being put out there to obtain your energy, to get you invested, to get you emotionally heightened, and to invoke you to do things and feel things and invest in things and engage in things. So just be mindful of that energy. And it's sitting in that seventh house energy, which is the energy of Libra energy, which is all about balance, fairness, justice, and things of that nature. So, there might be some, people and situations in justice system and things like that are speaking on truth and things like that. But you need to learn how to decipher between those things and who's being, and who's using spirituality and certain things as, sheep's clothing to, get you invested. We see that, right? Politicians are always telling us that they do and feel and they claim certain nationalities and tribes and things to get people, invoked and invested and, just be careful. So Pluto, we started off the day at 24 degrees, 25 altitude in Capricorn in the fifth house, and we'll be ending off the day at 24 degrees, 27 altitude in Capricorn in the fifth house. So Pluto energy is all about secrets and transformation and rebirth and power, right? Is that energy that gets things unraveled, kind of causes a little bit of issues. It's like that gossip girl that causes a little bit of issues, right? And it's sitting in that Capricorn energy. So we have Pluto and the Sun getting closer and closer and closer. So eventually, something's going to happen with, energy of power, right? Our egos, our outer selves, how we engage in masculine energy, that tangible energy is going to be affected by Pluto at some point in time in that Capricorn energy. And that Capricorn energy is what? Law, authority, attachment, challenges, fears, restrictions, and boundaries. That RoboCop energy. So we're going to feel some secrets coming out in that energy. We're going to see some transformation and power coming out in that energy when once as the Sun and Pluto get closer and closer, and we see that, right? We're getting closer and closer to inauguration day. There is a transformation happening in power. We have no idea what's going to happen on inauguration day. Look at what happened on the day of the electoral count. Ashe, but as the Sun and Pluto get closer and closer, definitely be on the lookout for that. Both of these Sun and Capricorn energies are sitting in the fifth house, which is a fire energy house of Leo. And Leo was all about confidence, right? Creativity and children, and also tapping into the child in you. Some of us were badass kids. So you can only imagine the kind of energy that's going to come out as the Sun and Pluto get closer. And I'm excited a little bit. I don't know how you guys. And we also have Venus sitting in that energy. And Venus is all about wealth and pleasure seeking and how we obtain and maintain wealth and what we see wealth and value in. So you'll see the Sun and Venus and Pluto start to, move in a little closer on one another. Venus won't be super close to the Sun as the Sun is starting to get towards the end of Capricorn energy, and Venus doesn't move as fast. But with all three of those energies in Capricorn, it's going to be definitely interesting to see how we go about obtaining certain material things and relationships and things and how we interact with one another with that law and order energy. Hey, Denny, thank you for tuning in. Moving into the true node. So the true node is your overdeveloped and your underdeveloped characteristics and traits that need to be put into alignment in order for you to have fulfillment in life. So we started off the day at 19 degrees 40 altitude in Gemini in the 10th house. We'll be ending off the day at 19 degrees 42 altitude in Gemini in the 10th house. So Gemini energy is that energy uh, well, in the constellation sense, it's the destructive energy, but it's also a Mercurian energy of logic and communication and things like that. Also, an energy of versatility and flexibility. With that being said, that versatility and flexibility, if not at a balanced level, which is what the true north causes us to be at when it comes to the Gemini energy, you may find yourself feeling super intense and nervousness and anxiety because you're being too versatile, you're being too flexible. In the psychology field, we call it a strain of roles, growth strain. You are stretching yourself too thin amongst too many faces and masks and things like that, and it becomes exhausting. So the true note is causing us to hone in. A lot of us had tapped into the midheaven Gemini energy, especially when the beginning of March of last year when quarantine first started, a lot of us were like diving in headfirst in all these home-based businesses and building our own businesses and educating ourselves. Well, the true note is saying, we see you, you did that. Now it's time to find balance in that because a lot of us have strained ourselves. Becoming aware of the fact that we tried to create too many businesses at one time, and some of them are not getting the love they deserve, right? So they're falling between your fingers. You put on too many masks and too many roles, and you have overexerted yourself in too many organizations and projects and things, and that may have caused some to slip through your fingers, and it may have caused some frustration, right? A little bit of anxiety when the to-do list gets a little low. I know I'm speaking as well to myself a bit because, I was in tune with that Gemini and midheaven energy when I did those planetary forecasts back then. And, tapping into having multiple streams of income and diving into multiple opportunities and being versatile and expanding your portfolio and etc. Right. But when you come into that and there's a super imbalance in that, we're seeing that, we're feeling that, and we're feeling exhausted and overextended. Also, Gemini is a Mercurian energy. And still tapping into that energy of only dabbling and dibbling, we're also doing that on a communication level, right? Only receiving a bit of information and automatically running off to reiterate that information or share or teach or whatever. This true note is causing us to become more informed in the things that we want to be informed in, that we want to educate others on, and so on and so forth. And dig deeper in the surface rather than taking bits and pieces and learning how to communicate with one another and learning how to just listen to absorb and not just to listen to respond. Asha. So going into the ascendant, we have transitioned about a day or so ago into the Libra energy with our ascending energy. So now we have a bunch of little Libra ascending babies being born, and we're feeling the ascending energy of Libra, right? So that ascending energy is like your mask, your expectations of society, and in return, what you think society expects of you. So that's the energy you give and give back, right? So with it sitting in Libra energy, a lot of us are expecting fairness and justice and balance from society, right? And we are also wearing the mask of that as well. We have a lot of people coming forth to the forefront and advocating for people of other tribes and other walks of life because we are now seeing that a balance and a fairness is definitely in order. And this is sitting in our second house energy, which is the Taurus energy of pleasure seeking, of self esteem. So your self esteem and how you feel good about yourself and how you feel good about others and things like that is rooted in that balance and fairness. But be mindful of that because with an imbalance can come the wet blanket, overly people pleasing type energy. So definitely be wary. The midheaven. We started off the day at the midheaven at 2 degrees 53 altitude in Cancer in the 11th house, and we'll be ending off at 3 degrees 20 altitude in Cancer in the 11th house. So the midheaven is like your achievements, your most visible achievements, your aspirations, and responsibilities. And so when it's sitting in that Cancer house, that Cancer energy is about maternal energy, how you interact with your maternal energy, the maternal figures, and the maternal energy in others, as well as like nurturing spaces and with the nurturing spaces and being emotional and intuitive and going inward, right? And Cancer is also in alignment with the moon, right? That moon energy, um, that mystical type energy. So you find your aspirations and your achievements being rooted in your maternal energy, right? Creating nurturing spaces, whether it be a nurturing space for yourself with other like-minded spiritual folks with other, people of your tribe, of your, indigenous background, and so on and so forth. You find yourself trying to create and trying to engage in maternal and nurturing environments with said communities, whether it be for children, adults, elders, so on and so forth. And that's what we're doing. And that's where we're finding our responsibilities in right now, too, right? As certain things are coming into fruition with the schooling and the homeschooling and vaccines and finding work and still having to balance our bills because despite what's going on in the news our lives are still staying the same. We are experiencing quarantine and businesses being shut down and jobs being closed down and people just being afraid for themselves and their children and their parents. um, we, still have bills. The bills aren't going anywhere. There's no news article saying, hey, Comcast is stopping this and hey, landlords are stopping that. Like no parts of that is happening. And because none of that's happening and we're coming into the realization of that. And some of us are saying, hey, why still work for these companies if they're not looking out for us? A lot of us are going into creating nurturing spaces for people that are coming to those levels of realization as far as housing bartering and business to business and things like that goes. And that's beautiful. And that's where the midheaven is lying. And it, coming, I kind of spoke too soon, but introducing the 11th house being that house of humanitarianism and finding your soul purpose and giving to others. So yeah, coming back to that building nurturing spaces for others.
Lilith. Lilith is all about like your suppressed sensuality, your suppressed self, your triggers and aggressions and things that you think society is going to judge you if they ever figured it out. And we started off today at 3 degrees 44 altitude and retrograde in Gemini in the 10th house, and we'll be ending off at 2 degrees 57 altitude and retrograde in Gemini in the 10th house. So that, repressed type thing that Lilith is causing us to look into is that versatility and that flexibility that the true note is sitting in, correct? Yes. So, a lot of you guys have been feeling yourself repressing your versatility, your flexibility in your art, or the things that you want to do, the things that you find happiness in, or the things that trigger you or get you going or whatever. A lot of you guys, want some more variety and a little bit more spice than that in your sexual stuff, and that's what the Gemini energy is calling. And so, and a lot of you want that in your business, you want that in your relationship, you want that in whatever. A lot of you guys scared to have that polygamous conversation, but that's what Lilith is causing. Whatever it is that you've been repressing about yourself in terms of you being more expanded, being more versatile and flexible in different areas of your life, Lilith is definitely pushing you to look into that. Lilith is definitely pushing you to the point where, like, on the inside, you're getting upset with yourself. You're feeling the suppression. You're feeling like, you know, I really want to do this. I didn't feel this strong about this before, but I really feel like I want to venture into this. I want to expand into this. Like, to the point where you're not really caring about what other people think anymore. It's what you want, right? I shed. And that 10,000 called, what was that? That's what how it's an energy of like your highest level of achievement. What's happening? Nothing. It's not smoking. What's that? Well, then why is it sleeping? It might be smoking somewhere downstairs in somebody else's apartment. It's okay. We had a fire one time. And we got a little bit. My king was on fire. Is it? You want to call the firefighters to come check? Yeah, you should. Have them come in here and check. If it's the carbon monoxide you get, you want to call the firefighters to come check. I'm about to open a window. Okay, so Chiron will start off the day at 5 degrees 11 altitude in Aries in the eighth house, and will be ending at 5 degrees 12 altitude in Aries in the eighth house. And Chiron is all about finding balance in all areas of your life, physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, as well as tapping into your strengths versus your weaknesses, things of that nature. So, Miles, come here. Miles, sit down. Come sit with me. You're fine. Can I always get my phone? Yeah, go get your phone and come back. So Chiron is sitting in Aries. Aries is that fired up warrior like energy. That energy that gets people going and motivated and things of that nature. Zeke, that's not gonna work. It's not smoke. All right, stop. And so you find yourself like fired up and motivated to get in alignment with like your strengths and your weaknesses and being overall wellness. We went into that before, right? With our other energies causing us to be in alignment with our overall wellness. I believe we had another energy. Mars was in Aries, so Chiron and Mars were in alignment for a minute. But Chiron is also sitting in that eighth house energy of transformation and death and destruction and rebirth and healing. So you're feeling yourself feeling wanting some type of transformation and some level of rebirth and healing and your overall wellness and things of that nature. That whole reason is rolling in. Ceres, we start off the day at 14 degrees, 15 altitude in Pisces in the seventh house. And we'll be ending off the day at 14 degrees, 35 altitude in Pisces in the seventh house. And Ceres is all about, you can't do this on my lap, bro. Can you not? Can you uncross your legs, please? Stop. This is not comfortable. Ceres is all about health and nutrition. I'm doing a video. If you're gonna sit here, you gotta be cooperative. Then you gotta sit over there then. You can't be on my leg like that. You gotta pick one. You can't have one. I just said that. So Ceres is all about health and nutrition and agriculture, fertility, and how you deal with loss and grief, and how you interact with parents, and how you and we did. So it's in Pisces, which is that mystic energy, that energy beyond the five senses, the subconscious energy. So and the seventh house deals with your one-on-one relationships, partnerships, and finding balance in those areas, which is that Libra energy. So you find yourself going through spirituality, right? Going through that Pisces energy in order to strengthen your partnerships, in order to find balance in your health and your nutrition. And also finding going through your spirituality, become balanced with agriculture, right? Being balanced with fertility. And that doesn't just mean like childbearing. That also means being fertile in, your business babies, your art babies, your any type of like level of manifestation. And it's great to, go through your spirituality, tap into these type of manifestations and this type of balance and relationship with your health and nutrition. Especially with the sun sitting in that Capricorn energy right now, that's causing us to be all about manifestation right now, right? So Pallas is that energy of logic and reasoning as well as your intellect. And we started off at 10 degrees, 14 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house. And we'll be ending it at 10 degrees, 34 altitude in Aquarius in the sixth house. So Pallas is pretty much in the same realm. It's about, 7 or 8 degrees away from Jupiter and Saturn. Battery. We have Pallas in alignment with Jupiter and Saturn, which is our long order planets, right? And we also have, I believe we have another energy in Aquarius in this house right now, right? Let me double check my numbers. Yeah, Mercury. Mercury. So we have Pallas and Mercury. Pallas and Mercury are like the masculine and feminine energies of each other, of intellect and knowledge and logic and things of that nature. So you find yourself, having a shift in your logic and knowledge of law and order and authority and challenges and things you've been restricted on, and having different types of communication, regarding those things. You're starting to see things a little differently and talk about this a little differently. A lot of us are talking about Capitol Hill and how we thought it was like the thing that it would never fall, and then it fell. Like people were climbing the wall, and that was just something crazy to see. Staged or not, it was still like mind shifting. Like that's how it is. And so, with that being said, we're definitely changing our logic and our intellect on how this country is ran versus, some of us are having to talk on, the privilege of it all. And some of us are having to talk on, the acting and the staging of it all and how, the media has been backing that up. But I'm gonna pull it. Just get off my lap so I can get up and pull it. It's cool. So getting into Juno. Juno, we start off the day at 6 degrees. Okay, it's over now, so you can go back and sit down. So you can turn up your phone. But not in here. If you turn up your phone, you gotta do it in the other room. Juno, we start off the day at 6 degrees, 28 altitude in Sagittarius in the fourth house, and we'll end off at 6 degrees, 45 altitude in Sagittarius in the fourth house. So Juno is like our wisdom and arts and that level of creativity and defense as well. So that's sitting in like that optimistic energy of Sagittarius that's all about like engaging in different philosophies and foreign exchange and things like of that nature. So you find yourself seeking wisdom in other foreign countries and other foreign interactions and culture. And we see that. We see a lot of people going to different countries and starting to travel more and trying to be expats and gain nationalism in other countries and things of that nature. And that's exciting. That's always fun. And the fourth house is the house of home and family and private spaces. So we're building over there, right? We're going to other spaces and we're expanding our philosophies and building on that and building our home and family, traditions and structure on said things. And that's exciting. Look at us expanding and healing. No, don't bring the book in here. Just go in the other room. I'm almost done. We're about to put our shoes on and be out. Vesta, we started off the day at 20 degrees, 50. Go ahead. Go in the other room. 54 altitude in Virgo in the second house. So we'll be ending the day at 21 degrees, 0 in Virgo in the second house. And Vesta is your passion and where your fire lies. And we're sitting in that Virgo energy of servitude and being practical and logic and also organized. You can be an overthinker and fussy and worry a lot. So be mindful of that. Like you being like you're passionate about this thing, but now you're starting to feel like you're wasting time and you're starting to get like overthinking and like maybe I shouldn't do this or da, da, da. Don't do that. And it's sitting in your second house of personal finances and your material possessions, that Taurus energy, and that pleasure seeking and self esteem and stuff like that. So if you keep questioning how you're going to obtain those things, if you keep questioning your passion and where your fire and your passion is, and keep questioning those things and keep quoting yourself back to those things with that overthinking and the over analytical energy of Virgo energy, you you're just gonna keep holding yourself back, like of being in alignment with your second house, with that second house energy that's transiting right now in your personal finances and stuff like that. And last but not least, we have Iris, which will be in 3 degrees 40 altitude in Aquarius today. So Iris is a nebula constellation type combination of things. And as far as like the energy and story of Iris goes, it is an individual that used to get water from the river of Styx and bring it to the courthouse. And if you drink the water, if you died while you were drinking it, it's the same thing as you put your hand on the Bible when you're going to stand. You drink the water and you go on the stand and you die. That means you were lying. So Iris is all about justice and water, seeking justice through the water and things like that. And when it's sitting in Aquarius energy, what do you get when you mix water and air? You get hurricane. So we see like justice coming in hurricane form. And if you're not aligned, you're gonna be scared. A lot of people are watching the news and scared about reactions and things that are gonna come into play, especially when the new presidents come in. What are they gonna do in reaction to certain Americans acting up and stuff like that? Like it's about to get a little crazy. And so like, that's the and Aquarius energy. And it's coming through the waters. Yesterday I spoke on, like Flint and certain news stories come out that there was other areas where water is also being damaged and things like that, and how we may have forgotten those things, but all those things are coming back into light as we become aware of those things again, as we start questioning the government again, which is what Iris is in alignment with um Jupiter, Saturn, Pallas, and Mercury. So like all five of these energies are in alignment in that Aquarius rebellious social energy. So, we're definitely seeking justice and we're communicating and we're, sharing and exchanging information and we're coming together. And when the sun goes in Aquarius and the moon is in Aquarius with all these other energies in Aquarius, oh, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. I foresee the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, um, and uh, Iris and Pallas all being in alignment and Aquarius. Um, when Aquarius season begins, and that's going to be exciting. Definitely be on the lookout. Definitely be watching the news. And if you want to stay safe, if you ain't on that type time, if you ain't tapped into your Mars warrior energy, then I suggest you stay in the house. Because when that alignment happens, it's going to get real. And that is my planetary forecast for today. Thank you for tuning in. Praises due and happy solar return to the noble Juwali. I'm about to go head over to the temple and celebrate and eat some food. I am late because I'm always on CPT time. I love y'all. Thank you.